we need to talk about the comment section on my riding technique videos. It is a magical place, a place where the world's most confidently incorrect people gather to dispense advice so catastrophically terrible it borders on performance art. And the absolute, undisputed heavyweight champion of missing the point is this all too common comment right here. Just slow down. That's the motorcycling equivalent of saying, I don't cook with hot oil, so I don't need a fire extinguisher. And this brings me to an incredibly well-written article from my good friends over at Yamaha Champions Riding School titled Realism versus Idealism. I'm gonna link to the article. The basic premise is this. Many riders, and honestly much of the motorcycle industry, treat safety purely from the perspective of an idealist. They think, ride the speed limit, obey the traffic laws, leave a nice little space cushion, and absolutely nothing will go wrong. You will arrive at your destination in a cloud of lavender and good tidings. Now, before I go any further, I am not talking about the actual beginners who are learning the basics and need to manage their pace while their skills develop. That's completely legitimate. I'm talking about the commenter who appears unfailingly under every single video about riding technique, like body position, braking, cornering, you name it, to deliver the following verdict. If you need any of this, you're going way too fast. Just slow down. As if the concept of skill is merely a workaround for the true solution, which is apparently going everywhere at 23 miles an hour. And I think it comes from a fundamentally understandable place, which is why it's worth talking seriously about and picking apart properly. Because this isn't just a comment section debate, this is a safety conversation. And I think the just slow down philosophy taken to its logical conclusion produces less safe riders. And I'm gonna prove it. So a quick pause from the action. I absolutely love my Cardo. Before I got it, communicating on the road involved a lot of aggressive hand gestures. And honestly, it made us look like we were fighting away an invisible swarm of angry bees.
They're ripping my flesh off!
But honestly, I haven't had to fight those bees in a very long time. I've been riding with Cardo for over a decade now, and the sheer durability of these things is insane. I've dragged them through torrential rain, freezing cold, and summer heat so brutal it turned my gear into a portable sauna. Cardo has never once let me down. This unit has been chugging along forever. Frankly, it has the survival instincts of an apocalyptic cockroach. It's completely bulletproof, and it pairs perfectly with their flawless, seamless mesh communication systems. It has life-saving crash detection. Not to mention, it pairs perfectly with my phone and my Insta cameras for all that voiceover stuff that you hear me using. So if you want a communication systems that could literally outlive your helmet, this is your sign to upgrade, because there is a massive flash sale happening this weekend only where you can score 20% off the entire web store. Just use the link in the description, scan the QR code, and use my coupon code RIDEWELL at checkout. Get yourself a system that's built to survive anything. Go grab yours, and I'll see you in the mesh.
I think the just slow down philosophy is rooted in something that sounds perfectly reasonable on paper. It has the reassuring quality of a simple equation. And for a lot of people, it seems to have worked in the sense that they've been riding for years and haven't crashed. The absence of a crash is not the same thing as the presence of skill. Now, I want to say that again, because I think that might be the most important part of this whole video. The absence of a crash is not the same thing as the presence of skill. But do you know what else also produces no crashes? Luck and only riding when conditions are ideal, right? Never being in the wrong place at the wrong time. Now, this is real, it has value, but again, this is not skill. So I was talking with Chip from Yamaha Champ School as I was getting ready to make this video, and he pointed something else that I had been noticing, but he actually had the data for it. But he said nearly 70% of their students have never been on a racetrack before. And when they show up, he noticed the same thing I was noticing, and that's these people who feel perfectly comfortable going 80 miles an hour on a public interstate surrounded by texting drivers and wildlife and potential potholes and 18-wheelers driven by men surviving on Red Bull and gas station hot dogs. But you put them on a meticulously swept closed-circuit racetrack where Everyone's going the same direction with medical personnel on standby, corner workers watching your every move, and absolutely zero oncoming traffic. And for some reason, they are terrified going 60 miles an hour. I mean, think about that for a second. The racetrack is objectively safer, and yet these riders are more scared. Why? I think it's because the highway has rules. I mean, speed limits and lane markings and all these laws that are mostly agreed upon. And without realizing it, I think a lot of these riders have built confidence on compliance, not competence. I know that's a lot of C's, right? But they built their confidence on compliance, not necessarily competence. But you put them on the racetrack and you remove the signs, especially those speed advisory signs, and suddenly they have no idea what's actually keeping them safe, right? The racetrack doesn't lie to you. It just asks, what actually makes you skilled on a motorcycle? And for a lot of riders, I think possibly for the first time, that's the first time they don't actually have a good answer.
But here's where this stops being just a comment section thing and starts being something I find a little bit troubling because look, it's not just random people on the internet saying, just slow down. A significant chunk of the formal motorcycle education world has been saying it too. And I want to be careful here because I'm not throwing the entire rider training industry under the bus, but there is a pattern where just slow down becomes the answer to every nuanced technique question. Ran wide in a corner, you were going too fast. Couldn't stop in time, you were going too fast. Lost the front on a wet road, you were going too fast. And look, is that wrong? Not entirely. Speed is always a factor. Go slow enough, and yes, you reduce the consequences of almost any mistake. But as a teaching philosophy, it is a masterclass in avoiding the actual question. Because what it's really saying is, I'm not going to teach you how to handle that situation. I'm going to tell you to avoid that situation. And if you end up in it anyway, well, you should have just been going slower. That's not education, that's blame management with a high-vis riding jacket. It's the driving instructor equivalent of teaching someone to parallel park by saying, just find a bigger space. Technically valid, but completely useless. Teaching proper motorcycle dynamics is hard. Teaching threshold braking, grip management, trail braking, body position. These take time. Most importantly, they take instructors who actually understand the physics. Just slow down is free. It requires nothing. And crucially, if something goes wrong, it's the rider's fault for not slowing down enough. It shifts responsibility from the instructor to the student, cleanly, efficiently, every time. Now, I want to acknowledge the obvious comeback, which is, but those techniques come from racing. They're track techniques. Okay, fair. Those techniques were developed in racing, but they weren't developed for racing. They were developed because smart people spent decades trying to figure out how to keep a motorcycle on two wheels at the absolute edge of what the tires can do. But here's the thing, riding in the rain is the same problem. Think about it. Why do racers use these techniques? Because they're operating at the limit of grip, and they need every tool available to stay upright. Every decision about speed, lean angle, brake pressure, throttle input, all of it is about managing the relationship between the tire and the surface. Now put yourself on a wet road, a greasy roundabout, a corner that's colder in the shade. You are also at the limit of grip. You also do not want to fall down. The physics didn't change because your number plate doesn't have a sponsor logo on it. The only difference between a racer managing grip at 120 miles an hour and a commuter managing grip on a wet Tuesday morning is the speed at which consequences arrive. The techniques that work at the limit work at any limit, including the reduced limit you're operating in when the road is cold, wet, or covered in something unpleasant. So when someone says those are racetrack techniques, not street techniques, what they're actually saying, whether they realize it or not, is I've decided that street riders don't deserve the same quality of knowledge that we give to people going 3 times faster on a closed circuit, which is, and I say this with genuine affection for the broader riding education community, completely backwards.
Reality is not your friend, nor is it your enemy. Idealism says, I don't need advanced riding skills because I follow the rules, so I'll never be in a situation where I need them. And reality, who's been sitting in the corner this whole time, looks up and says, oh, that's adorable. Because here's what reality actually looks like. Reality is a blind corner. You're mid-turn, you're committed to your line, and now there's real water flowing across the road. And the question is not whether you planned for this. The question is whether you have the body position knowledge to reduce your lean angle and going to the brakes while maintaining your cornering radius and staying in your lane. I mean, do you? Reality is an on-ramp where you're accelerating and you're accelerating to the bend to get on the freeway, and now there's a car stopped in the middle of your lane. Do you have the skill to go to the brakes while it leaned to deal with that parked car? Do you know what the bike is going to do? Reality is a nice old lady in a light blue Buick who is not malicious. She's not drunk. She's not texting. She's not a bad person. But she simply turns left across your path because motorcycles are hard to see and human beings make mistakes. She doesn't care that you were doing the speed limit. She doesn't care that you're being responsible. She turned left. And now the only thing standing between you and a very bad outcome is whether you're covering the brakes and if you have, before this very moment, practiced threshold braking. Not read about it, but actually practiced it. And here's where the just slow down philosophy really falls apart completely. It assumes that emergencies are things that happen to other people who are going too fast, people who are reckless, right? But emergencies are not selective. They happen to careful, responsible people going perfectly legal speeds on ordinary Tuesday afternoons. You may never intend to go find the limit, but despite that, the limit might come up and find you. Now, if you are enjoying this video, I'd really appreciate it if you would consider clicking like and subscribe. It's the easiest way you can support creators like me and more content like this. And if you want to do more, you can always become a channel member or support us over on Patreon. On Patreon, I can do a few more nice things for you guys. So yeah. All right. Anyway, let's get back to the topic at hand.
When something unexpected happens, we do not magically rise to the occasion. We fall back to our last level of training. So the question isn't, do I need these skills for the kind of riding I plan to do? The question is, what will I fall back on when something I didn't plan for happens? So to the lovely humans who typed, just slow down. I hear you, I genuinely understand where it's coming from, and you're right that speed management is a part of being a good rider, but slow and out of control is still out of control. Slow with limited skill is still limited skill. A fire extinguisher isn't a commentary on your cooking. Trail braking isn't a commentary on your pace. They're both just tools that exist because the world doesn't run on good intentions. Hope is not a strategy. The riders who stay safe over decades of riding don't rely on hope. They train, they practice threshold braking, they learn grip management before grip becomes scarce. They understand motorcycle dynamics before the motorcycle surprises them. Because eventually, something unexpected happens. And when it does, you want to have something to fall back on that isn't a sign on the side of the road. Let's all ride like the best riders in the world, not at their pace, just with their focus on skill and technique. Now, if you want to actually do something about this rather than just watch a video about it, I'm going to put the link to Champ School below. Their schools are genuinely some of the best things you can do for yourself as a rider. Go check them out. And if you use my coupon code FOCUS, you get a nice discount. It's not an affiliate link. I don't get anything out of it. It's just our way of saying thank you. And don't forget about this incredible Triumph Trident that we are giving away to one of you. But you don't have much time. The giveaway ends on June 26th at midnight. Learn more at fanofthem.com/CanyonChasers. Now, let me know down in the comments what you thought about this video. Was it too controversial? And I also want to know, do you keep a fire extinguisher in your kitchen? Thanks so much for watching. Ride on and ride well.